Hello, friends, and welcome to Rise Up in Real Estate, where we are on a quest. We are looking for the extra in the ordinary. And I'm Tad Fulford, and I will be your host on this journey where we will take an honest look at what makes ordinary people extraordinary. Exactly how can we be extra in our personal and our professional lives? In this season of the Rise Up in Real Estate adventure, there will be a monthly rhythm, meaning each month we will have 4 unique episodes. In one episode, we'll tackle a pressing current real estate industry thought. In another, we will chat with a local difference maker in the real estate space. For our 3rd episode, we will host a respected national thought leader. And finally, we will have a 4th bonus and surprise episode. And in each episode, we will be digging into not only what those people think, but who those people are. Along the way, it's my hope that you'll laugh some, you'll be challenged some, you will get inspired some, and if we are lucky, maybe even figure out a way or two you can rise up in your own life and be the best human that you can be. So the challenge is, let's all rise up. Hello, Rise Up Nation. Welcome back. We're here for another episode of Rise Up in Real Estate, and I'm excited because I have somebody that I look up to very much, who has a very influential position in our profession. I know you'll be shocked that we're actually going to talk a tiny bit about real estate today. I've got a great friend of mine and a powerful female leader. I should just say powerful leader in our industry, but because my wife is a badass woman leader, I have another one on the show today, and I want you to meet my friend, Laura Crowther. Laura, I'm so glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Tad. I'm thrilled to be here. It's an honor to be and privilege to be asked to join you.
Yeah, it's Laura is the Chief Executive Officer of the Coastal Carolina Association of Realtors. Those of you that listen to this show will know that we're in the coastal region of South Carolina, which is heaven on earth, quite frankly. So if you want to, we can find you a place if you want to come join us here. But Laura, I want you to tell me, because I've always been fascinated by this, I want you to tell my listeners this. Tell me briefly your story. Like, where are you from? Where'd you go to school? How in the world did you end up in such a leveraged position that you're in today? Because you're a pretty big shot. I don't know if you know that or not, but you're a big shot.
No, I'm just one cog in the wheel. But thank you. I'm a South Carolinian. I was born and raised in Florence, South Carolina, and I actually sold real estate in Florence for 11 and a half years before I moved into association management. So my entire career has been real estate in some form or fashion. My family was in real estate, so I did not stray too far from all things that I grew up with. I attended college at Charleston, and then finished my degree in mathematics from Francis Marion College at the time, which is now Francis Marion University in Florence. So that was kind of the beginning of my career. I actually was working for a family-owned real estate firm in Florence while I finished my career until I could move on to bigger and better things. I don't know what I thought that was going to be, but it certainly wasn't small town Florence, and little did I know that I would cut my teeth on the real estate industry in Florence.
That's very interesting. Did I know I was a math major in college? Did we know that about each other? I don't remember if we've ever talked about that.
I don't think so. We're kind of far and few between.
Yeah, that is a rare. I remember college and being a math major. And the deal was it was survival of the fittest. Who could last until your senior year when you started talking about. None of the classes in my math classes had anything to do with math. It didn't have numbers. They were all logic based and all statistic based. And I got really out of my league, but I'm glad to know that about you. That I understand why I feel a kindred spirit.
Well, the only thing I'll say is my least favorite topic when I was pursuing my degree was differential equations. Still, I thought it was a cool concept, but I couldn't get it.
Oh, listen, and I have little kids now, and I'm teaching them stuff. And I'm like, what in the world? You hear people say like, you'll never use that in the real world. Well, you will if you have kids. I'm telling you, you will go back to it because that's pretty cool. So you actually didn't do any other real job outside of real estate at all. You were one of the few that came straight in out of the university. You were right into real estate. And don't you have a pretty unique story about how you ended up where you are now? You were in association management before you came to CCAR, correct?
Yes. When I left listing and selling real estate, I was invited to participate in an interview process with the South Carolina Association of Realtors when they were looking for an education director. So I thought that would be a great opportunity for me to advance my career, but stay close to real estate. So I worked for the South Carolina Association of Realtors for 8 years. And that was in the early 2000s. And I think most of us remember the market in 2008. And in 2008, our South Carolina Association of Realtors had to make some tough choices and decided to cut their budget by 25%. And in cutting the budget by 25%, I was part of that. They eliminated education as an offering throughout the state and pushed that back to the local associations. And it was probably one of the toughest times in my career. I share that readily with our leadership program and those folks, because I always want people to know that you have to have challenges and obstacles for you to continue to move forward. And at the time, it was hard. It was a hard life lesson and a bruise to the ego. But you pick yourself up and you move on. And as my good fortune, the Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors had a long-standing CEO of 26 years who was retiring, and I was invited to consider applying for the position here. And 14 and a half years later, here I am.
Wow. So that was 2000. So that's right when that happened, right? When your job at SCR was kind of cut with a quarter of the budget. That's a lot. But I remember those times we were building our company then, and it was no picnic. But so that was just a closed window or door, and another one was open through CCAR. And you've been here with us for 14 and a half years now. What a great lesson that you learned. We all learned some lessons during that time, but that was quite a good for us that you were there. Has the association changed in size since you've been here? I don't know what it was like back when you first came on site. How many realtors were there back then in the CCAR?
Yeah, we've seen quite a swing of the pendulum. When I arrived here, we had 3,200 members, and within the first year, our membership dropped down to 2,300 members, and then we have continually grown over those the subsequent years, and now we are sitting at about 5,300 members.
Oh, we're over 5,000. I didn't know that. That's amazing. So that's 3,000 more than when you were, so you had the unique perspective. And we should shout out to Nick Cremitis, one of my favorite. I don't know him that well, but I really love. I know you know him super well, so I'm just saying this is my opinion. I really love the vibe that he puts out as far as being professional, like really together, laid back, approachable, professional. I don't know many attorneys that I like as much as that one, right? So,
well, you have to throw in tech geek.
Yeah, I've seen his videos, and but he's a great leader, and lucky for him, and lucky for you. I guess he was the guy was he the guy you were working for back then? Has he been around that long? Yeah. So he was part of that hard decision, and then really, I know he's happy that you've landed where you have, and we're happy about that too. So now you've been through several markets, right? Here you are at now 2023, right? We're almost October, which blows my mind. And we're in a weird market. Like, I don't know what you even call it. Some people call it, I hate the word pivot. I hate the word shifting. I hate all these words, right? a friend of mine says that there's no good or bad market. It's just the market that you live in.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think? Like, give me your analysis. 'Cause you're not in, like me, you're not in cars every day trying to sell real estate, but you're managing a bunch of people who are, right? What is your perspective on today's market versus what you've seen in your career?
Well, I agree with you. I have seen just about every market, good, bad, great, and ugly. And I would say we're in a period of normalization. The past 3 years have been incredibly fast paced, almost to the point of unmanageable. And we certainly saw that with our inventory levels dropping so dramatically that we essentially didn't have any inventory to sell. And we live in a very, very popular high demand market. So, a little normalization is good. I think it's a proper balancing. There are a lot of unknowns in the market. We have seen some fluctuations in interest rates over the past several months that we haven't experienced in years. And so that is making an impact on the market. And, depending on with moving into 24 with the elections coming up, that always tends to hedge the market a little bit. I'm an eternal optimist. I do believe that our market will remain robust. And we have a quality of life and something to sell that a lot of other markets don't have. And I think that moving into 24 and beyond will be good. It just will not be at the pace we experienced the past 3 years.
Yeah, it's almost like the there's going to be real estate sales. There'll be less people involved in those, but there will still be some, right? As long as they're not going to during the election or during the adjustment of the rates, as long as they don't take the ocean away. Like I don't think they're going to be able to do that, right? I don't think they're going to be able to take our weather or our cost of living, all the things that we love about where we live. What is your day to day? I was going to ask you the crystal ball question, but you just kind of answered it. I'm an optimist. Also, I just I don't know what's going to happen around me, but we're going to succeed in the middle of it. It's kind of my approach. What is your day to day job, Laura? Like I know you're CEO But what is your day just different every day, or do you have a pattern, or what's your job, your role?
I attempt to have a strategy and a plan daily, but no 2 days are the same, and they can change on a dime. So, it depends if I'm in the office and if I've got meetings. My year normally is scheduled out. I know where my meetings are going to be. Very seldom is there a last minute pop-up type meeting. I try to get out and about and meet with the agents and the brokers as often as I can. And as you well know, we do a lot of events, and I do my very best to make it to all of the events that we host. So I like to be visible with the members. It's hard to be super visible with 5,300 people, but the majority of the people that participate in the organization, either in committee work or attending the events, they get to see me and interface with me. I always I love meeting the members, and I hope they feel like I'm just the person, the next realtor over, that I'm very approachable and I'm just the girl next door kind of thing. Don't put me on any kind of pedestal, because I don't belong there.
Yeah, well, most high profile leaders that are lasting, like you have been, have that humility and have that servant's attitude and have that, hey, I'm just one of the group trying to help the group get better. So I appreciate that perspective. And it's probably hard. I was just thinking as you're talking, it's hard for us because like you're the only association leader I've ever known that, like, I've only been in your association. And I think most of your members a lot of them have only been in this association. They don't know what to compare it to. So that's really, that's not so good for you, because you're operating at such a high level with this organization that we don't know any different. We just expect it to be there. And when you mentioned events, man, you have a lot of events. I bet most associations might not, some might, but the majority don't do as much FaceTime as you do with us. So we
Well,
appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And we look at it like this: one size doesn't fit all. All 5,300 members aren't going to show up to one single event. So we try to do things that interest members of all areas of the organization, north, south, east, west. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Something that I might find interest in may not be of interest to you at all, and vice versa. So we want to appeal to as many of our members as we can.
Yeah, and what is the hottest topic right now in the associate from an agent's perspective? Like, if you were going to have a class or an opportunity to draw as many people as possible, what would it be? Do you think? That's kind of off the cuff? Maybe we need to have Kathleen that. I don't know.
Well, it really depends, because sometimes the things that you don't think are going to draw people out do. But anytime you've got something on listing and sales, prospecting, how to navigate challenging markets, any kind of systems that you have that might give the agent a new idea or a competitive edge, anything like that that's going to improve their business. But it's got to be substantive. It absolutely has to be substantive. And another key one in our market, as you well know, is a good portion, not as many, but still a majority of our properties in the area are resort second home investment properties. So, that's always of key interest.
Right. Very good. And you have a dear husband that we would be remiss if we didn't mention Mr. Bill. And you also have a couple of hobbies that I wanted. We'll talk about one at the end of the show, I think. But you're a huge Clemson Tiger fan.
We are.
We should put that out there, even though Nick Cremitis is not at SCR. You got there. I think their record might be the same or better than Clemson's this year, which is ironic. And you also, I wanted to ask you about your interest. I think this will help you connect to some people. You have an interest in jazz music, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Music in general. We're
music in general.
Music fans. Mm-hmm.
And don't you do some trips where a lot of your travel is related to that? Is that true?
A lot of our travel is music related. We are currently embarking on what we call our old guys tour. We're trying to catch all of the bands and solo artists that are either retiring on purpose or retiring. So we want to catch as many as we can.
And is that any kind of music?
Pretty much, yeah. We unfortunately had tickets to see Jimmy Buffett in Charleston a couple of weeks ago. Concert was postponed, and then we know several weeks ago we learned the sad news that he passed. So we didn't get to go see him one last time, but in a couple of weeks we're going to see Aerosmith. So we run the gamut with the kind of music we like.
That's funny. We saw at the Remax convention a few years, Steven Tyler was our private concert, and I mean, God bless him for still rocking on, man. I mean, you couldn't believe it. We actually, Mandy and I just saw George Strait not too long ago, which is another old classic country guy that's probably not going to be doing it many more years. But that's pretty cool that you guys. I enjoy living vicariously through you and Bill doing that whole tour. So tell me, I ask everybody this question as we move on through the episode. What do you feel like, and I think I have my guess, but what do you think your superpower is? Like, my belief is we're put on the planet to do a certain thing, and we go through things so that we learn how to do those extra things. But what is it that if Laura doesn't do it, it's probably not going to get done? What are you good at, Laura? That's a weird one to ask, isn't it?
I could probably list what I'm not good at better than I can at. When it comes to business and the association, I'm super analytical. I want to make sure that we know and understand why we're doing something. And I also want to make sure that the end result benefits the member. It's all about the member. saying that, I also feel like my role in the seat that I'm in is to be the visionary, to look beyond. We can handle the day-to-day operations, but I need to be steps ahead to make sure that I see what's influencing the industry and try to make some moves or shifts or strategically plan toward those changes in the market. You get it right sometimes, and other times things just blindside you, but you do the best that you can. And it's important to stay up on what's happening not only in the industry but in the economy and on the global scale.
Yeah. So you do a lot of. Do you have a team that, like, are there your peers across the country? Are you close to, like, you're talking to other CEOs and just kind of, you guys get together every once in a while?
We do. We have some groups that are kind of homegrown that we have similarities in size of organization, or we have groups that are put together through the National Association of Realtors. So anytime I get asked to participate, I certainly do. I'm a member of a group that Steve Murray put together a number of years ago. And it's a small group of CEOs, about 6 state and 6 local execs throughout the country and Canada, that I was invited to be a part of. And I find those couple of days that I spend with them super valuable, because it gives me a peek behind the curtain of what they do. And then we can bring that back and try to take the best of it and implement it.
So you know Steve pretty well, Steve Murray?
I do.
We were just on the phone with him. I guess it was a week and a half ago. Mandy and I were, and he's like E.F. Hutton. Those of you that know E.F. Hutton back in the day, whenever he speaks, I listen. Like, there aren't a lot of times where I talk less than the person I'm with, because I just talk a lot. But he is a wealth of information and knowledge and experience and history. And for someone like you who's had so much experience, it's nice to have a mentor type relationship with someone like that. And even your peers, I'm sure your peers have all been doing business a long time too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing that's really nice about that group is we take turns hosting our group. And part of that is our peers come in and they do an internal audit of our organization. And they interview staff, they meet with leadership, and then you get a chance to sit down and say nothing and listen to what they find. And that is very, very intimidating, but it's quite humbling to be able to hear from some of the best and brightest in the business. And they point out what you do well, but they also open your eyes to opportunities that maybe you weren't even aware of.
I mean, that's the ultimate level of accountability, isn't it? when you say, come in, because you can tell people what's going on. Like, you can put out a good press release or talk about what's going on. But when people come behind the curtain, like you said, that's a whole different thing.
Well, I'll tell you, one of my colleagues that's in the group told me as I was being invited in, he said, you just be prepared to stand naked in front of all of your colleagues. Oh, yay.
Yeah, that sums it up, because you can't, and I bet and I bet you think about that during the year when you're making decisions in some regard, like you don't want to let these people down, or what would so-and-so do, or what would so-and-so say? We were actually talking to Steve about a business issue, and we were doing that very thing. Like, what do you think about this? How good would it be for us or not? And that's really cool that you do that. I mean, I think that's the listeners could gain something. All of us at our level should be that way. If you live or own property along the coast of South Carolina, you probably need insurance. We Insure Advocates is a locally owned independent agency with industry-leading service support. Our team of customer-centric agents can explain your coverage options and help you craft an insurance program that fits your needs and budget. Data-driven for better value, people-led for better service. That's the difference of we. For all of your property insurance needs, please find us at weinsureadvocates.com or call us at 843-491-6990. The realtor business, in some cases, is a very Lone Ranger business. You're independent contractor, and you do that because you want to have independence of schedule and freedom to make decisions. But it's not always best to go it alone.
No, it's not. And on the flip side of that, it's also a very collaborative business because you have to learn how to negotiate and work with your other realtor colleagues. So, if you really look at the industry as a whole and that you're just one spoke in the wheel of trying to help advance private property rights and home ownership, and it's less about the bottom line and you work together for the greater good, it's a win-win.
Yeah. What are the most, in your opinion, and I don't want to, right now is a pretty volatile time for the National Association of Realtors, and we're not going to dig into all of that, but what, in your opinion, other than the buyer's agency thing that we've got going on, this discussion about worth and value, what do you think are the other hot topics that we should be paying attention to, like on a political level, what are the private property right issues that we need to be bearing down on, do you think? Anything you're comfortable talking about?
Sure. Well, I mean, one that's glaring right now is September 30th. The National Flood Insurance Program will expire if we don't get some sort of continuing resolution to move the budget forward. That's huge. We sent out information today to our general membership just to remind them, if you've got a property that's pending closing, you need to make sure that the insurance is secured in advance of the 30th. Those are huge things. We continue to play whack-a-mole with that one, and if we could ever get some continuity within that program, that would be fantastic. Something locally for us is the impact fees in Horry County. Horry County is looking to increase the impact fees across the board. We have been actively engaged in that conversation because we continue to talk about affordability and workforce housing and all of this, but yet we're looking at one more hurdle to throw on top of a transaction to make it even harder for our service industry folks, our teachers, and our police and firemen to buy properties. And we also are making it harder for our college graduates to stay in the community. We want to retain that talent, but yet the affordability and is just really not there. We're not just a community of people moving in from the Northeast and the Midwest with pocketfuls of cash to buy property. It takes everybody to make a community vibrant, and our service industry folks that drive and thrive in our resort tourism economy. We need them.
Yeah, those are good topics. I appreciate you sending our organization that flood thing. We talked about it this morning, and it's a real thing. It seems like we address it almost every year.
We do.
That's good. So tell me, I always ask all of our guests as we wrap up, I always ask our guests, tell me a book. Do you read? Do you like to read? Are you an Audible gal, or do you read?
I do both because I'm in the car a fair amount. I listen. But I also, when I have the opportunity to sit down, I do like to have a physical book because I'm a highlighter person. Just
okay.
Give me paper and a highlighter because I probably want to come back and reference it. I don't really have a favorite book, but I have two favorite authors, and okay. I love just about anything they write. First is John Maxwell. Super quick, easy reads. The Leadership 101, 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, and the list goes on and on. The man, in my opinion, is just brilliant. And it's funny because on the daily basis, I receive a little 1 minute video from John, and he has a word of the day, and it's always very motivational. And today's really had to do with obstacles that we all experience obstacles, but it takes experiencing those to advance and to move forward. So I thought our conversation earlier was very, very timely. The other author that I like quite a bit is Patrick Lencioni. Okay. And there's a book that I have just reread called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And our president-elect, Bree Bender, has suggested that we read that as a board and maybe do like a book study next year. And it really helps break down the importance of certain layers of teamwork and functionality within a board to have good substantive conversation, productive conversation to move the organization forward. So those are two that I really like, and I just happen to have have them their books on my desk.
How can we find that? I'm always interested in a daily nugget. Like I've got some from a lot of people, and I try to consume content. How can we find John Maxwell's video of the day? Is that something you can go on his website probably and sign up for?
Yeah, you can. Okay. You can go on the John Maxwell website and sign up. Yeah, okay. And it pops in about every morning. I'd say about 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I do a lot of different ones, but that would be a nice one. You're the second guest, I guess, in the last 3 or 4 weeks that's mentioned John Maxwell. So that's a good one. And then I like Patrick also. Do you ever read for leisure, or is it all? You seem like you might be just consuming content for self-improvement, business development.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I read so much because of just the volume of stuff that comes in. But when we're in the car and happen to have the opportunity to listen to something, Bill and I like Grisham. We Pat Conroy, stuff like that. Kind of suspenseful, fun things. But yeah. I do less of that. We do listen to a lot of music.
I bet you do. Do you watch anything on TV? Like, are you a streamer? Do you like Netflix or any of those shows, or The Bachelorette? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I'm not a TV person, but I will relax in the evenings and watch a little Netflix or something. I did watch Peaky Blinders. Not very relaxing, but I did watch that. And I loved Outlander. I thought that was a great show. My husband, not so much. He said it was too violent.
Oh,
go figure.
Listen,
the ladies that watched it would say something totally different, but whatever.
Yeah, Mandy loved Outlander. Like, I remember walking in the living room one day and she had that on, and I was like, I got to get the kids out of here because there's something going on in there that I don't know what's going on, but that is a serious. There's a show if you like Grisham, Rennie Diedrich, our broker in charge and owner, she put me on this show called it was a 3-part series called The Innocent Man.
Okay.
I don't know if you've watched it, but it talks about So John Grisham, I don't know if you know this, he wrote 40 books. He's written 40 books. 39 of them are stories, like nonfiction. One of them is based on a true story. And it's okay. The innocent man. It's that story. I don't remember the name of his book based on it, but it's actually like a documentary where he is talking you through this crazy thing where these people get on death row, and like within a few days of execution, and totally innocent people, and how it happens and what happened. And this is years ago, but pretty fascinating. If you're a Grisham fan, I think you would like it, because to me it made him human. Like, he's talking on, it's almost like they're interviewing him on 60 Minutes about this one topic. So I thought you might like that. But yeah, we watch a lot of that kind of stuff too. I mean, whenever we can with the kids. All right. So last thing I want to ask you, the name of the podcast is Rise Up in Real Estate. The idea was not to form a revolution of people. I've had people like, you're going to get in trouble for saying rise up in our world today. And I'm like, well, what I mean is rise above mediocrity. Like, what is it that you do on a daily basis, Laura? And I know you do it because I'm looking at you. You've been in this business for a lot of years. You look like you're just so happy, healthy, strong, leading from the front. But is there something that you do on a daily basis that helps you do that helps you rise up?
I do. I absolutely do. 2.5 years ago, my husband and I joined a lifestyle program called Eager to Motivate, E2M. And collectively, we lost a considerable amount of weight. I have always been into fitness, been into working out in some shape or form. And I've always run. Let's say in my adult life, I've been a runner and I was a dancer. So for me, I get up, my time in the morning at 5, I get up and I work out. I work out an hour a day. It's my me time. I don't have to interact with anyone else. I just do my thing. I get a great workout in, and then I come back downstairs and I'm ready to meet the day. That is huge for me. I'm good at the nutrition part. I feel like I could always be better. And guess I've always had a love-hate relationship with food. So it's, I have always had the tendency to take my foot off the gas. And right now I'm having to press the gas a little bit harder, but I have always loved working out. I love the feeling. I love feeling strong, and just taking that time for me, it allows me to give back to myself that I don't get the rest of the day. So, I think I mentioned to you that I kind of have this new mantra. One of our coaches uses this phrase often, and I've adopted it because you can't pour from an empty cup. And when people are looking to you to be the leader of the team and be there, you have to be present, and I have to give back to myself so I can give to others.
I love that. And I have watched my wife be a part of this E2M, and I'm going to put a link in the show notes for people to look into it. I'm very impressed with Mr. Spoon and his program. It's a lifestyle, and it is very doable, which is what I've been impressed with. It's not I don't know. It's not gimmicky. He was a Marine, correct? Am I right? Am I right on that?
Yeah, he's a Citadel grad. He's a South Carolina guy and Marine, still in reserves.
Very doable program. I've seen you change, which has been cool, and watch Bill too. Watch you guys transform your lives. But when you're in public service, like you are, and like we are as realtors, in our market, like the public demands us. We might be making less sales right now, but the public wants us more because they need a counselor, an advisor to kind of understand what's going on. And a few years ago, after COVID, when it was like order taking, then you were negotiating everybody through multiple offer situations, and your time is not respected by the people that you serve because they need you. And I respect what you said. You got to take a minute outside of that for yourself. Give yourself that gift. I like the way you said it. Do you guys you and Bill work out together in the morning, 5 to 6? I always seem to see your sweaty selfies together sometimes.
No, I work out Monday through Friday by myself, and then Team Crowther works out on Saturday and Sunday together.
Okay, that's funny because I always see that this organization, this group, this movement posts sweaty selfies, and I'm like, this is something interesting. Like I see that from you and Bill. That's awesome.
Yeah, most people would not imagine that I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning working out and putting just bare bones. It's Laura the hat and the sweat on Facebook, but it's my accountability piece.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, Laura, thank you so much for taking some time with us. What is the best place, if anybody in the show connected with Florence or E2M or association management or whatever you might have said, how can they find you the easiest? Is social media or website? Where can they find you?
Sure. Well, on the Coastal Carolinas Association of Realtors, CCAR.org website, you can certainly click on the About Us, and all of my information is there. But if someone would like to connect on social media, and I'm just about all channels, it's Laura Stroman Crowther. And that's who I am. Or you can just probably type in Crowther. There aren't many of us.
Right.
And,
well, that's awesome. And I appreciate about you that every once in a while I hear the small town South Carolina girl accent, and I love that.
Got it.
I appreciate you. Well, thank you for taking the time to be on Rise Up in Real Estate. I'm hoping for many blessings for you the rest of the year. Thank you for your leadership of our association, and stay strong out there. Keep working out, and we'll see you around soon.
Great. Thank you.
Well, hey, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Rise Up in Real Estate. If you liked hanging out with us today, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Rise Up in Real Estate. Also, follow us right now on your favorite podcast host to hear more episodes. We really appreciate you spending some of your time with us. And until next time, let's do each other a favor and all help each other rise up.